Hello, everyone. Today is Wednesday, 18th of June, 2025. This is the Cluster API Officer meeting. Before starting, a usual reminder that we abide to the CNCF Code of Conduct. So please be nice with each other and use the raise hand feature in Zoom to speak up. Also, feel free to add your topic to the agenda and your name to the attendee list. Sorry. Okay, let's start. As usual, at the beginning of the meeting, we welcome new attendees. So if you are new to this meeting and you want to introduce yourself to the other attendee, feel free to speak now. Okay, I checked the attendee list. It looks like there are no new faces. If I made some mistake, feel free to speak up also later. Let's move on and go to open proposals. So we have 3 open proposals. Auto scaling from zero. Alessandro, do you want to speak up a little bit about your proposal?
Hello, should I remember what this proposal is about first?
I think that everyone is aware, at least we are talking in the last meeting, so maybe let's focus on updates or something that happened in the last week, or
So,
call to action if you want to.
so I basically updated the changes according to the reviews, and it's pending reviews and approvals from you.
Okay, thank you very much. So this proposal, I already said maybe last meeting, this proposal is nearing um, uh, the final point to merge. If you are interested in this topic, please take a look. Alessandro just pushed one of the last round of changes, so please take a look. Next one is propagate taints from machine templates down to nodes. Nolan.
Yeah, this is mostly a call to action for folks to take a look at propagating these taints downward from machine templates. Something I will point out here is it says machine templates and it's not scoped to cluster class or clusters, because my logic is that this is for nodes within a cluster, not the entire cluster. Um, I don't know what it means semantically to taint an entire cluster. I would think you would create a separate workload cluster for that. Um, so I think that's probably the biggest difference it has from early discussions we've had here on these calls. If folks could please take a look at that, that would be much appreciated. Um, Also, one more thing I'll call out. Um, Taints are treated as an atomic field by the Kubernetes API. This means with server-side apply logic, only one owner can own the entire list. So uh, if you apply taints, only one, you must provide the entire complete list every time you change it. There is a proposal upstream to change that such that it will behave more like labels and annotations, in that every single field can have a separate owner. I was discussing this with Joel earlier this week, and that change is not in Kubernetes yet. It may not even get accepted, but if it does come, we're probably going to want to support both ways of doing it anyway because of our version skew. That won't be the default in Kubernetes for quite a while until after it's approved. So that's some background on it. If folks could please take a look, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate the contest. I did not have yet time to look into it. We are better to is the priority now. I have also more comment about this in the discussion topic. Last proposal that we have is about chained and efficient upgrade. Just a reminder, last week, in case you did not attend that last week, I did a demo on what the proposal means. And I think that the demo explain much more than words how this will imply forecast API. So I kindly ask folks to take a look if they have bandwidth or are interested in this topic. Okay. If there are no questions on open proposal, we can move up to our discussion topic. So I have the first one is about the release. I don't know if maybe Chris or Matt want to give the announcement of the latest releases, or should I take it?
Yeah, I can just let you know that we've got the Alpha 1 out, and then of 111, and then we've got 199 and 110.3 out as well.
Okay, so first of all, thank you again to the release team. As usual, amazing job. If you don't mind, add to the meeting notes the
yeah, I'll get some links in there.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to add on this that we are still keeping doing alpha for the next release, which is something that we do not do usually. And this is because we really need feedback on changes on the new API version. And this is why we are doing alpha. And yeah, and in order to give a better understanding of what kind of changes we are doing, I have added a few points on the agenda. So before moving to that, are there any question on or comment on releases? Okay. So maybe Stefan, do you want to talk about the work that we are doing on object references, or should?
No, I can do that.
Thank you very much.
So first and foremost, we're breaking everyone. No, just kidding. So I don't know who's familiar, but I think this discussion has been going on for 2 or 3 years. The issue is probably older than that. Around that, a lot of our objects, we have an object reference. So I mean, first of all, we use core v1.object reference, which has a ton of fields that nobody ever used, like UID, resource version, and field path. They just don't make any sense. So we're definitely getting rid of those. So first of all, we are going to stop use core v1 object reference, and we're going to use basically more specialized structs that contain what we need, and that depends a little bit on the use case, what we need in each of those cases. So there are cases where we basically need API version name, namespace, kind or something. Then there are other cases where we need something like kind, a name, and API group, because in a lot of cases we never need namespace because we cannot actually reference something in different namespace. So we have a ton of code defaulting namespace fields to the namespace of the object, and then making sure that namespace is actually the same, and like a ton of stuff like that. So we have a bunch of different cases, and we're going to make sure that basically all of these are using exactly the reference types that have exactly the fields that we need. The most important one, and I think the one that has the most visibility to users, are the ref fields on, let's say, our core objects. What I mean with that is cluster, so control plane infrastructure ref, then everything related to machines, machine set, machine deployment, machine pool, which is usually infrastructure in the bootstrap ref, and in KCP, where we have an infrastructure ref. So on those, what we usually used in the past is name, namespace, kind. Namespace will go away because we don't actually reference anything outside of the current namespace. And API version is a bit tricky. So what we did in the past was people were defining some API version there. Then our controller came along, we're looking at that API version, we're looking at the corresponding CRD, and then they were modifying the version part of the API version. And instead of using whatever the user provided, first we were updating the API version to use like a later version, usually in there. And then we were basically using what we calculated. So we never actually used what the user provided there. Which leads, I guess, to two problems. One, doesn't really make sense that someone has to define a version that then we don't use. And then if you use like GitOps tools or whatever, where you basically say, I don't know, I want to use beta 1 and then it always gets overridden by the copy controller to use beta 2. I think you have to do some sort of special configuration that you don't end up with like infinite updates on your resources, that basically whatever tool you have just accepts that copy has a different opinion on this field. So what are we doing? Basically, we're replacing API version with API group so that people only have to define the group. They do not have to define the version, and version is just, we figured it out internally, what we use there, and we also have a util exported if like other Go consumers wanna use those references and get the corresponding objects. Yeah, I think I covered the most parts, Fabrizio. Maybe let's go with a question from Nolan. You muted first. Sorry, not a question necessarily. But
just one thing. So the change of object reference, which is this PR, is not yet emerged. All the other similar change, and it is not included in the alpha one. All the other change are already included in the alpha one. Just a disqualification.
I think one is not included. The machine have check remediation one that was merged this morning.
Okay, thank you.
But the others are, yeah.
Yes, work in progress. Nolan, please go on.
Yeah, from a provider's perspective, with the advice, if providers have their own owner references that they want to make, or object references, sorry, should they be creating their own within their project, or should they be looking to use the CAPI ones, or is that undetermined?
I think in general, I would be really, really careful with embedding reference types if they don't 100% fit what you want to do. And what I mean to fit is not just, oh, the fields are looking roughly the same. I think we have to go beyond that. It's like literally, do you have like the same concept or understanding of what sort of reference this is?
Sure.
Because we made this problem, we made this mistake in the past in a few cases, and then it wasn't exactly the same, or you cannot really write Godoc that makes sense because your use case is slightly different and your Godoc doesn't make sense for that Godoc, or maybe you want to evolve it slightly and then it hits you. So I think it really depends on what you have. So we have a lot of, we use a lot of structs, I think, that probably don't make sense anywhere else. So to give some examples, so we have like, let me try to remember, machine health check remediation template ref. That seems very specific. We have IP address ref, IP address claim ref, IP pool reference. Sorry, all of them are reference as a suffix. Just use a shortcut here. Then we have cluster class template and cluster class template ref. They also don't make sense. So I think we have machine node ref. So that one maybe, but this is only a name. It doesn't have anything else in there. So that only leaves one, and that is the one that we have on the core objects, and we call that one a contract versioned object reference, because the idea is basically you have an object reference. It has kind name and API group, and the version is coming from the contract. This is the like how we figure out the version part from the corresponding CRD. So I think this is maybe the only candidate if you have like the exact same concept there.
Okay.
But otherwise, I would just use your own type.
Okay. Yeah. So we may not even have these in the providers I work on. I don't know, but I read through the issue before, and it does seem like in general, the advice is you're probably going to look at making your own reference types in your project because those have the most semantic meaning, unless you're maybe literally reaching over to someone referencing something else in another project. But yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah. We had some concerns in the past, like, oh, what if we don't use object reference? We cannot use some utils from API machinery or something. I think we made like, I don't know, we had to touch a lot of files, a lot of places to change those refs. I think I did not find a single API machinery that we were using. It was all just our own stuff.
And to add on top of that, while doing this work, we discovered that in maybe in a recent API version, I did not check when, but on type like local reference in core v1 or typed local reference, it is explicitly stated you should not use them. Create
Yes.
your own. So I don't know when this note has been added. So I think that
I can tell
there
you
is
for
a-
object reference, it has been in there for years since we started.
Yeah.
Like around when Jacob opened the issue, it was already there.
Yeah, but we probably did not notice it back at the time, or it was not
Oh, that
there.
could be.
But I think that it seems to me that having your own reference type is the way to go, given current comments on the API and current guidelines in Kubernetes.
Yeah.
This is my take.
Yeah, I think the more I'm learning and the more we're trying to clean up, the more I'm getting very, very, very careful about embedding any types anywhere. Because it's like, it feels like in 90% of the cases, it's a bad idea and not worth it. But yeah, I'm not saying there are no cases, but there are a lot of bad cases.
Okay, so continuing to give an example of what kind of changes are landing and what and where we could use feedback from the community. So another change that we are doing, that we did, and it is already included in entirely in the Alpha 1, is that we went through kubeadmin config and KCP, and we removed a lot of fields that were unnecessary or even error prone. I make an example. There was, I don't know, type meta on the cluster configuration, and and kubeadmin was just ignoring this value because it used the Kubernetes the type meta version of the target Kubernetes version. So it was ignoring it, so it could even be confusing. Or there was another Kubernetes version inside the control cluster configuration. And this could lead, and if someone is going to set this one, this will take precedence on the one on the machine level. And so basically your machine provisioning is going to fail. So we cleaned up all these duplicated field to make sure that there is a single source of truth for every information. And this is one. But yeah, there are also many other that we did in order to align to better align to API guidelines. Like we were using inconsistently somewhere we were using meta v1 duration, or somewhere else we were using seconds or days, so we were specifying the time unit for fields, and now we are consistently using seconds or days as per API recommendation, and we are not using anymore duration. We also refactored failure domain because failure domain were modeled as a map, and this is sort of not encouraged by API guideline. And so, yeah, a lot of small changes. I will say this is a big API version overall, and this is why we really need feedback. Nolan?
Yeah, just as you said, this is a big set of changes. Is there an issue that documents all the changes that are coming or planned for V1 Beta 2?
Yes.
It might be incomplete, but if that's
so if you go on the book like I'm doing, and instead of looking at the current version, you go on main. Okay, so this will be the next version of the book, and we are working on this page, which is the migration version, and we are doing our best to keep all the PR, all the changes that we're doing documented. We split them up by API changes. You will find change that apply to all CRD, change that apply to a specific CRD, cluster API contract changes. So the API changes are more user-facing. Cluster API contract changes are more relevant for providers. We have deprecation, cluster capital changes, removals, and we are also giving advice of future removal that the provider should take care of. And also, we tried to write down some guides about how to bump to copy to the new copy, and what to do for your condition, what to do for your contract. So we are really trying. We understand that there will be some stuff to understand, required to understand. So this is also another stuff that we need feedback to, because we try to write to use this at our best, but at the end, what is important is that someone else find this useful, and the feedback are really valuable. So, yep, I will link this to the. For
maybe just a small addition. So on top of that, we of course have like release notes on the alpha releases. So there's especially the list of breaking changes. I think we're now at like 45 PRs of breaking changes. And for tracking issues, we have two issues. If you search for tracking issue and for umbrella, there are two big ones. We're currently trying to burn down a lot of stuff. We see how far we have to get. We have a few big ones that we want to figure out, like not necessarily big for user impact, but complicated ones. I'm sure we can get all of them done. It's just not enough time left. But I think we really did like a lot of cleanup already, and a bit more. We get on a bit more. Otherwise, maybe general disclaimer. If there's like generally like, let's say, slow feedback on PRs and stuff, there's a reason. And it's basically working against the deadline with whatever we can do for beta 2. Because whatever we can do in the next 4 weeks can make it into beta 2. Whatever we can't do might make it into beta 3. And I don't know when that will happen, right? Might take a few more years when we do another beta. So, and most other changes can wait compared to that. There's like a once in a few years chance here to clean up stuff, and we won't take that.
Yep, good call, Stefan. If there are no comments or questions on API, so on a release and V1 beta 2 changes, we can move to the next topic. So next topic is a question for me. I don't know if the relevant folks are here, but I just want to bring up. So we have working groups, and one of these working groups is the in place working group. And by chance, I was looking at this, and the scope of this working group was to define the scope of what in place upgrade means, and write a copy proposal. So I think the copy proposal has been merged. So it looks like that the scope of this working group is completed. So it achieved this goal. So yeah, I was looking if there are some opinion about archiving this. Of course, I will reach out to the relevant folks if they are not here. Okay, I will start a thread in the channel maybe. Nolan, you have a point about taint propagation. I think it is the same of the proposal that we discussed before.
Yeah, that's the proposal. I didn't realize it had been added up to the proposal. So proposal list.
Okay, so I think we can move on to provider updates. Anima?
Yeah, so we have for CAPC V120 is released some highlights. The Azure ASO Managed API moved from alpha to beta. And also we added a new flag to disable that Bootstrap VM extension. The other notable mention is that machine pools now support Ultra SSD capabilities. And then just to note that CAPI V110 is not yet in a release and it's only in the main branch. And we have the V111 Alpha 1 integration. It's in the works. So yeah, we just want to highlight that.
Okay, thank you very much. Linking back to this one and V1 Beta 2, I just want to remind that there is an issue about work for machine pool in V1 Beta 2, which is looking, so tracking issue, we have some work to be done, and yeah, as Stefan was saying, time is running. So if we can get some machine pool folks doing this work, this will be great. Otherwise, we lose the chance for the next 1 or 2 years.
Okay, we'll note that, yeah.
Okay, so next one is again me. In CAPV, we bumped CAPI from Alpha 0 that we did some few weeks ago to Alpha 1. And yeah, it was a smooth bump. So yeah, a lot of changes, but they are good cleanup, so they are not creating too much issue, at least for provider, for KPV provider. And if there are no questions about KPV, next up is feature group updates, and we have Tilo.
Just a small one. Bookkeeping basically. So our regulars are in a very unfortunate time zone for what for us is late time meetings. So we moved it to 3 p.m. UTC. It was on 5 p.m. UTC. That helps our folks a lot. And that's basically all. So if you're interested in node bootstrapping work and supporting multiple bootstrap providers, then that's the place to go. We have a Google Calendar with these meeting series in it, and we've updated the calendar series. You can import the iCal and have it on your calendar and be reminded. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Tilo. Sorry. Thank you very much for that date. If you're interested in this working group, please reach out to Tilo or join the meeting. And we are already at the end of our agenda. Is there some last minute topic that folks want to bring up? Okay, yeah, I just bring up one. So one thing that is super important to keep an eye on, given the number of changes that we are making, is our CI signal. I know that the risk team is taking a look at it. Overall, it doesn't seem in bad shape, but I also know that we have a couple of issues in our backlog about flakes. So if someone is interested in helping out for the release, taking a look at these flakes is a great way to help maintainer to free up time. With that, we are at so some last minute topic we want to talk about. Yeah, Mattis Romani, you can find out flakes by going the copy repository, go to issue, and then filter by kind flake. And so this is how easy you can find how you can help. Thank you, Matt, for this reminder. Consider this. I think we are at the end of the meeting. Thank you everyone for attending and see you in 1 week.